Hello everyone, today I'm in Casablanca, Morocco, which is the largest city in Morocco, and this part of Casablanca that I'm in is termed the old part of the city, or the port side of the city. And the port of Casablanca is just maybe 2-3 blocks up the street directly ahead. And some background information on the city of Casablanca. Casablanca has a population of over 4 million people, and that includes the entire metro area. So it's a fairly large city. And the country of Morocco is located, of course, in Africa, and it's on the northern part of the African continent. And at its closest distance is approximately 8 miles from Spain across the Strait of Gibraltar. So though it's in Africa, it's still fairly close to Europe. And Morocco is a predominantly Muslim country with over 99% of the population identifying as Muslim. And so that's almost, I guess you could say, 100%. However, there still are a handful of Jewish and Christian Moroccans who live here as well, though of course, you know, at 1% that is rather small. So as a Muslim country, when you come here, one thing that's you might find a little bit surprising is that 5 times per day they will have a public call to prayer. And that's kind of interesting if you've never been here before. So that they will announce publicly on loudspeakers and just play, I guess you call it maybe Muslim music, and that will be the signal for everyone who wishes to go to one of the local mosques to go to a mosque and pray. However, what's interesting to note is that it doesn't appear to be as strictly enforced here as it is in, say, somewhere like Saudi Arabia or Iran, where they will pretty much stop all business and drop everything and go to a mosque. It doesn't appear to be like that. I have not seen any businesses close when they have their call to prayer. And some more background information. The area that is now Casablanca has a very long history, dating back over 2,500 years. At time the city changed hands between the Berbers, Romans, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and British. However, today Morocco is no longer controlled by European powers. Morocco is a monarchy governed by King Mohammed VI, who is of Moroccan descent and who has complete control of the country. And one thing to keep in mind whenever you travel to a foreign country that's not a democracy is that it's really not a good idea to criticize the government. And I really avoid talking about politics in general, because it is possible to get in some trouble if you were to criticize their government. So I would just completely avoid that type of situation. And some more background information on Morocco. The country has a rather interesting history in that from the 16th century to the 19th century, Morocco was a home base for pirates. And not only did they pillage merchant shipping in nearby coastal cities of Europe, they were also known to have kidnapped many Christian Europeans, and they would sell them into slavery throughout North Africa. And of course, you can guess that that would really upset the European countries. And it's said that During this time frame of approximately 300 years, it's estimated that over 1.25 million European Christians were kidnapped and sold into slavery. And this caused a lot of conflict with the European governments such as Spain, Portugal, and Britain. They would retaliate by sending their navies to Morocco and bombard its cities. And at one time, Casablanca was completely destroyed by the Portuguese navy during the late 15th century. It's also interesting to note that Morocco at one time was also a French colony during the early 1900s, and they didn't regain their independence from France until the 1950s actually. And that probably explains why quite a few of the businesses and people still speak French here. However, the primary dialect is still Arabic. And some interesting economic information about Morocco. Morocco has one of the highest standards of living on the African continent. Online sources list the average Moroccan salary at approximately $1,600 per month. And that would be after converting from the Moroccan currency, which is the dirham, to the US dollar. And those $1,600 might not really sound like much. Here, that could go quite a bit further than it does, I would say, in most parts of Europe, and certainly in compared to most parts of the United States. However, not everything is cheaper here in Morocco. For example, the price of gasoline is approximately 13 dirhams per liter. So that works out to about maybe $1.25 per liter. And there's about 4 liters in a gallon, so about $5 per gallon gasoline price. And that's pretty expensive because right now in the US the average is probably around low $4 range. And considering that people here of course make a bit lower income, that is rather surprising that they're paying that much for gasoline. However, they do have a okay public transit system here. And just in this courtyard area, you can see a lot of buses. And though I have not taken one of these buses, I have taken one of the streetcars. And a one-way ticket on one of the streetcars is, I believe, about 75 cents, which is a fairly good deal. And anyhow, getting back to the cost of living, things like food items, I would say overall might be a little bit cheaper here. Things such as fruits are cheaper. I'm getting into a construction zone here. Maybe I'll just go back the other way. So things like fruits and vegetables, I would say, would be cheaper here overall. However, not all food items are cheaper. Meats are still pretty expensive. A pack of ground beef is about $7 per pound, which I consider to be expensive no matter where you are, as ground beef used to be a poor man's food. And other meats such as poultry, chicken, a whole chicken here raw is about $6, which also is probably a little bit more expensive than the US, as we are lucky to have cheap poultry. And as you can see, the kind of cars, it's not unusual to see like newer European cars here, so I guess they can afford that $5 per gallon gasoline. And so it's kind of a mixed bag as far as the cost of living. Some things are cheaper. And since I am on the topic of food, there are a lot of street food options just right in this area. If you venture down a lot of the side alleyways and the market areas, there's a lot of street food vendors. However, I have not partaken in any street food adventures for several reasons. One, I'm a bit concerned about the safety of street food, as I have seen quite a few merchants, they don't have access to, say, refrigeration. And I think that's one thing to consider. And also there's the simple problem, if you're a tourist and you don't speak Arabic or French, I think it would be rather difficult to convey to the vendor what you even want. But it's still really interesting just to stroll down a lot of these side streets and just see what people are selling. And I found that it's really not that good of an idea to take too many pictures, because some people were getting a little bit upset. Nothing major happened, but being that it's a Muslim country, people seem to be more private than they are in, say, the United States. So I kind of kept most of my filming outside of the neighborhood shopping districts. Busy streets in Casablanca. There's quite a few intersections just like this where the crosswalk signal there across the street does not work. And even if it did, it probably wouldn't matter, because this oncoming traffic here does not have a light. So if you want to cross the street, you basically have to wait until the traffic is clear, or sometimes people just start crossing the street even when it's not completely clear, and you just hope that the oncoming traffic eventually stops, hopefully. And still in the old part of the city, just a couple blocks away, is the Hassan II Mosque. And this is a very large building. It's said to be the 14th largest mosque in the world. And it's also said to have room for a total of 105,000 worshipers. And that would be with approximately 25,000 people inside the building. And then it's said to have room for another 80,000 people in the courtyard area. And I would assume the courtyard to be the in the front of the building there, as the backyard doesn't seem to have too much space. It looks kind of narrow. And then it's just situated just right on the coast with the ocean right here. And we have a pretty good view of the ocean from this vantage point. They have this really nice boardwalk area where you could just go for a walk or a jog, and it also feels pretty safe. There's a lot of police here too, police vans just right there in the distance. And some background information on the Hassan II Mosque. It took over 7 years to build, with construction being completed in 1993. The minaret, which is that large, tall structure in the center, is over 60 stories tall, and it's topped with a laser, with the beam of the laser, which is clearly visible at night, and the light is directed towards Mecca. The mosque cost approximately $600 million to build, which was quite a bit of money back in 1993. And it also apparently still is rather expensive to upkeep, as it's said that being that it's right on the ocean here, that apparently caused some problem with the concrete, and the steel rebar rusted out. So it said that it recently underwent a substantial upgrade. And as far as viewing the inside of the building as a visitor here, there is a $25 fee, and that would be the cheapest ticket that I was able to find online. And I've even read that even Muslim worshippers who want to worship inside the building have to pay a fee, though I don't believe it's as much as the tourist fee is. This is the Marina shopping mall. It's a rather large shopping mall, very European in style, with a lot of European stores and even Western restaurants such as McDonald's and Burger King. And it's pretty centrally located. The older section of town that I just walked through is just maybe 2-3 blocks that direction. And the one thing that I like about this shopping mall is that it has a grocery store inside, and that's where I've been doing most of my food shopping. And this is the inside of the Marina Mall. Just a very typical mall. Lots of clothing stores, and they also have restaurants upstairs. And this would be the mall food court. It's a pretty standard food court, and it has a lot of American brands: Pizza Hut, a McDonald's, and also a Burger King around the corner. And all the American brands seem to be doing pretty well, which is rather surprising because back home McDonald's is kind of considered junk food, but this McDonald's here is just always very busy. And this is my favorite part of the shopping mall. This is a Marjan supermarket slash electronics store. And I guess it would be comparable to, say, a Super Walmart back home. They pretty much sell everything from groceries to electronics to clothing. And I've done pretty much all of my grocery shopping here since I've arrived in Casablanca. Let's do some grocery shopping at the local Marjan supermarket. And these are the fruits and vegetables. Tomatoes look 7.5 dirham per kilogram, so that would be about 50 cents a pound for the tomatoes. That's fairly cheap. And then these bite-sized tomatoes, these are being sold by the 100 gram. They're about 2 dirham per 100 grams, so that would be about $1 per pound for those. And here's some peaches, 24, that would be about $1.50 per pound for the peaches. So maybe some of the fruits and vegetables are a little bit cheaper, some are not. And here's the bread aisle, 15 dirham for a loaf of, looks to be wheat bread. That would be about $1.75. And looks like I'm in the dessert section. Lots of good looking treats here. And I don't know how much those are. Let's see about the cakes. These are pretty expensive, from 70 to 120. That looks to be a cheesecake for 60 dirham, which would be about $12. And they have a pretty wide selection of olives. These are also being sold by the kilogram, and those would be about $3 per pound, $3 to $4 per pound for the olives. And here's the meat aisle. Poultry, chicken, 90 dirham per kilogram, so that would be about $10 per pound, or $10 per kilogram, so $5 a pound, which is kind of expensive. And then here they have the whole chickens, and they would be about $6 for the whole chicken. And the thing is, though, these chickens, they are a bit smaller than the ones in the US. I mean, I would say the ones in the US are about 50% bigger, maybe because they're on steroids or whatever they give them or whatnot. So I would say it's kind of a mixed bag when you're grocery shopping. Some stuff is a little bit cheaper than other items are not. Here's the ground beef. That would be about $15 per kilo, about $7-8 per pound. Still pretty expensive.